Hello everyone, and a Merry Christmas to you all as you join us for this week's episode of the GamerGuild Podcast, where every week myself, Richie, and sometimes Rob get together to round up all of the weekly video game news for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com/GamerGuildTV. Also available up there in the digital clouds on your podcast preference of choice. We have a fantastic show for you this week, talking about all of the Insomniac leaks that have unfortunately came from a hacker's ransomware attack. We've got Bobby Kotick finally leaving Activision Blizzard King by the end of the year, and we've got our Skull and Bones first impressions amongst much more. But before we do get into all that, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and ring-a-ring-ding those Christmas jingle bells as we strap in for an exciting episode, our final episode of the year, technically, of our weekly gaming show right here.
That depends whether you remember or not.
That does depend whether you remember.
Members will get one more.
One special episode rounding up our game of the year. Yeah, we should say this, I guess. Weekly news show, as per usual in terms of schedule. That's what we're here for. It's what we're going to break down this week. This has probably gone live a little bit before Christmas, so Merry Christmas for Monday. Hope your
I think it was scheduled through a normal cadence to drop on Christmas Day, which we just thought was a bad idea. So we're going to push it a little bit early.
Yeah, we're going to reach into Santa's sack and give it to you earlier. It can be one of your Christmas Eve stocking filler presents, I guess, whichever way you consume your content.
Santa, very big sack.
I guess.
It's got presents for everyone in it. Like, that's got a big sack.
It does, a big sack. And we've got a big sack of news for you all this week, as I said. Lots of juicy stuff to talk about. Richie, welcome back to the show. Hope you're good.
I am good. Almost broke up for Christmas, so
almost.
Quite happy.
I'm there now. Switch things off, laptops away.
I've got, at the time of recording, I've got one more day.
You can do it. You can see this through.
Yeah.
The last day before Christmas, if the whole office is off, usually tends to be like quite chill and low key anyway. Not low energy, but you know what I mean. Everyone's mind is definitely elsewhere. But
our QC supervisor, was planning a scavenger hunt for his team earlier. So put it that way.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Shout out, of course, to everybody who will be working across the holiday season. I did it for many years, and you're definitely putting in the hard miles. And we do hope you get some time with your friends and your family and your loved ones at this festive season. For those who don't celebrate, you just play video games and crack on with things that are normal. But Richie, as I said, we've got a busy show for you all lined up. This is our 19th episode of the GamerGuild Podcast. It's ticking over nicely as we head into our, what do I usually say, 6th year of content?
Yeah.
Technically.
In our 6th calendar year of making content. But it'll be 5 years at the end of 2024.
Absolutely, and we'll celebrate with you, our wonderful audience, who keep us ticking over. Richie, we always talk about what we're playing at the moment. I suspect I still know what you're playing, but give us and the listeners a update.
I think you're wrong.
Oh.
You're thinking of Final Fantasy, aren't you?
I was, yes.
Which is true, I am still playing Final Fantasy.
So I'm not wrong.
But I'm full on addicted to Lego Fortnite.
Really?
Yeah, it's got its hooks in me.
Wow. Okay, so preface this. We did a first look.
We did a first look. We did a live stream of it, and I had a good time. And I've just been wanting for this last week just something casual, just to see out the week. Because being a bit tired. It was my Christmas party last weekend, and as an adult now, it takes me basically a best part of a week to pull my body clock back around properly after a 4 a.m. finish on a night out. So I've just been getting home from work. I've been tired. So Final Fantasy story-wise, quite intense.
Yeah.
So I haven't been kind of in the mood for it. So I'm going I just want something casual. But I was really having a blast with Lego Fortnite, so I just kept playing.
It was great. Are you still playing with a basic bitch skin, or have you spent some real money?
I haven't spent any money, and I don't intend to spend any money, but I am not playing with basic bitch skin, because what happens, there's a daily quest, so all you need to do is log on, you get it. And the first time I logged on after our stream, I got full Christmas get up.
All right, okay, so you're rocking.
So I was like, there we go, that'll do.
I might need to log in and get that now. Who'd have thought? If this time last week you told me Richie's playing
it's a random
Fortnite,
login reward, so yeah.
Then I would not have
Lego Fortnite.
The
survival bit, so it's
is. And,
which is weird, because my least favourite part of Fortnite Battle Royale is the building mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
Where the survival game it's all about the building mechanics.
Yeah, and it's a different style of building, isn't it, as well? It's
a different style of building. It's more intricate, and it's more Minecraft, and it's less while 12-year-olds are shooting you.
you actually have time to do
Yeah.
what you want to do. But first look's up on the channel. We had a great time with it. Shout out to the wonderful members from the community who jumped in and joined us for that one. And
Completely free to play as well.
Yeah, I think it's got some good legs on it, this game. It does indeed. So go check that out, go enjoy it, and go play it because it is free to play, just like the Rocket Racing one and just like the Fortnite Festival music game a la Rock Band.
It's a survival game with all the polish of Fortnite, which is great. Fortnite plays incredibly well, but you're playing as Lego.
Yeah.
What's not to love?
What's not to love, yeah. I really thought you'd be playing Final Fantasy 16, but evidently I was wrong.
I will be. It's just because I've been tired. And like as I said, it's a very intense story. And, when you just get on an evening, you get in from work and just knackered, you just want something brain dead to play.
Completely.
Yeah.
I went back to Final Fantasy, actually, and I did the Echoes of the Fallen DLC. I spent my £5 PlayStation Stars voucher. Again, anyone who listened to last week's show, go claim your PlayStation Stars £5 voucher if you've got it sat there waiting. So it only cost me like $1.99, $2.99 maybe for this DLC. So I thought, I'll jump back in, and December will be the season of DLC for me. I've got a couple lined up to chip away. I've got Final Fantasy first. We've got God of War, Ragnarok, Valhalla. I've actually also come back to play the Control Alan Wake DLC because now I have the context of finishing Alan Wake 1 and 2.
Okay.
The Control DLC. It's amazing. It's just so clever. I love Remedy's, they've just got this connected world. Now, I Platinum Control, it was my game of the year for 2018, 19? High pitch voice? One of those things?
I think it must have been 2019. I think we were doing the show.
Yeah, it was
the precursor to the show.
Yeah.
Sound of the Stadia.
And yeah, so I bought it and I intend to play it, and then the usual stuff with DLC, time passes, you never get round to it. But I knew it was linked to Alan Wake, but I didn't really think anything of it. And all of a sudden, I'm back playing Control. I'm back on my save file from 4 years ago, and there's it is a little bit rough to get back into. And controls, ironically, very very differently. But there's just another you get in an elevator in the main Federal Bureau of Control office, and it takes you to a whole new area. And all of a sudden, I'm finding all these memos and readable material about referencing Cauldron Lake, Alan Wake, and Missing Rider. Everything's redacted because all the stuff in Control is very FBI style, secret agent society is looking after these altered world events that take place, and the Alan Wake and the stuff that's happening around Cauldron Lake is a altered world event. So the FBC feature heavily in Alan Wake 2, and one of the agents that shows up in it is in the Control. I'm reading documents from Agent Estevez, and it's so it's like a weird going back in time Easter egg, but it pre-existed and it's a precursor to Alan Wake 2. So seeing it all laid out together in hindsight, it's one of them things where looking back, finishing the game, it adds a whole different dynamic to Control's story as well as Alan Wake 2's story. And it's Remedy, you're onto something here. I've installed Quantum Break on my Xbox because that's also got a lot of references throughout. And it's Remedy, clever way of getting people to buy into other games in a very MCU connected way. And I think they're becoming one of my favourite developers.
Yeah. Do you think it's probably halfway through the development of Control they kind of realise, some of the key concepts we're talking here, that describes what happened in the original Alan Wake. What if we retcon Alan Wake to go, it's this stuff? And the Federal Bureau of Control looks after that stuff in the world entirely.
Yeah,
and then suddenly this Control seems like almost the center point for this connected universe they're building with Alan Wake, one branch of it.
Yeah, it does, and I'm very intrigued to see where they go from this. But yeah, the DLC seemingly is almost like a test bed for Alan Wake 2. Because, when we did the first look, we played about 2 hours, didn't we? Those moments where I kept flashing with the black and you could see him screaming at the camera, like a little horror jump scare. That happens in the Control DLC. I'm were they mapping out some of the elements they wanted to include and feature in the sequel? Because at the time, obviously, no one knew that was what they were working on. 13 years had passed. No one knew they were going to do a sequel follow-up. And then all of a sudden, he's dropping into Control. It's
that might have led to the inspiration behind the main narrative.
That could have been the pilot, internal pilot. Say, look, it's fun. We can do it. It's there.
It might not even been a pilot. It might have just been, they came up with a cool idea for DLC for Control. Put it in there. And when someone went, doesn't this look like it's working for Alan Wake?
Yeah. And I'm waiting for that moment where they I've only played the first hour, so I've got a little bit more to dig into of the Control DLC. But yeah, so over Christmas, I'm do I go play Quantum Break? I kind of want to check out Nightmare Mode for Alan Wake 2 now as well. But but I will say, the Herald of Darkness song, and Port of the Muse and a couple of other ones from the Old Gods of Asgard has been my theme tune for the last fortnight now. Driving to work, listen to it there and back, the full soundtrack. I said last week's show they have like a full album out now, like a fake greatest hits album from both Alan Wake 1 and 2. It's on Spotify, and that's just my jam, and that's what I'm listening to at the moment. So yeah, that's what I've been playing. But as I said, a couple of things to play over Christmas. Sales already started, so I did pick up Avatar. I couldn't resist. It got discounted by 20 quid. It came out 2 weeks ago. It's already 20 quid cheaper. So I was like, well, I'd hate to be someone who paid full price, but I was not one of them people. And I also ordered Cyberpunk Ultimate Edition. So I've prepped myself for Christmas, so I've got them both lined up to go. I
recommended someone I know to actually give it a go on Ubisoft Plus because they were on the fence about it. They were on the fence about that and Mirage. So I was like, well, Ubisoft Plus is a thing. You could give it a go there, and then worst case scenario, you drop the money for 1 month. You don't get into either of the games, and it's not that much of an outlay compared to buying both games outright.
Absolutely, and I'd say at the moment, I think Avatar. What sold me on it was I saw Digital Foundry did a breakdown on Pandora, and they said it just looks absolutely stunningly beautiful, and the engine, what Ubisoft doing with, I think it's the Snowdrop engine. Said it just looks gorgeous, and I was like, I kind of would like to sit there over Christmas and just explore. As you said, the biggest allure of this game is the world. So I'm like, I could just spend a few hours mooching around there. And
I think the world's great. This is a bit of a tease because now everyone's going to have to wait for like 2 weeks after hearing this for your first impressions of the game.
Yeah, I might do something on the channel. We should kind of caveat as well. We are taking time off, so this show and our Game of the Year show that goes up on the 1st of January, they're pre-recorded both now back on, as of time of recording, 21st of December, so we're quite ahead of the curve this year. But that doesn't mean we're not going to have regularly scheduled programming throughout the Christmas week, so if you are going to check out maybe some game streams, we'll see what our schedules look like. At the end of the day, we take time off over Christmas, but we take time off and also want to relax and play games. So
to recharge the batteries, and that's it. That's why we're kind of it is the first now when we would usually do a stream. We cancelled the stream to get these recordings in, to just free up next week to just do what we want. Yeah. So there may be streams, there may not be. I literally don't know at this point.
And there might or might not have been something up Friday. We'll see what Chris's day looks like tomorrow to see if there's any content. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled, like, subscribe, ring that bell. That's how you keep in the loop with it all. Or check out our Discord server, because we do have a wonderful Discord server full of amazing folks, talk about video games, life, and everything else under the sun. And the link is in the description of the YouTube video below. While it is Christmas, if you're out there and you're thinking, crap, I've got 1 day to get my Christmas shopping in, I need to panic. Why not head over to our merch store and buy something that you will definitely not get in time for Christmas, but it'll be there it'll be there some point between Christmas and New Year to put on and enjoy. Why not fancy a lovely jumper? Why not get yourself a mug or a bandana for your dog? I did check.
I like my GamerGuild mug. I use my GamerGuild mug every day.
Tastes better. Coffee and tea tastes better out of a GamerGuild mug. That is fact, evidence.
You never see it on camera. Because I have it at work, though.
Ah, interesting. Sponsorship. Right then, folks. Richie, got a busy show, as I said, predominantly based on one story, but we can't get into it until you introduce us to the
graciously gathered GamerGuild Gazette, a.k.a. The News.
The News, for the last time in 2023. Here we go, boys and girls. It's a big one. Usually the gaming news quietens down at this time of year. The journalists take time off. The Game Awards have been and gone. We don't really get any announcements or releases because they all like to get out ahead of Christmas season. And we kick back, usually Richie, and we look at the show notes and go, ooh, it's a bit of a light episode this week. Let's try and drag a few things out. However, unfortunately, due to some assholes out there, hackers, ransomware, people, whatever they want to call themselves, they've breached Insomniac. So reading from, for story number 1, IGN, Insomniac hackers released stolen data. The hackers who breached Marvel's Spider-Man developer Insomniac and threatened to release confidential data unless they were paid 50 bitcoins, which is roughly around $2 million, apparently. I would not have guessed that at all. Within 7 days, have made good on their threat from last week that Sony apparently refused to meet the demand. Again, good for them. And according to Cyber Daily, the ransomware group Residia, or Reseda, they refer to themselves. I like to refer to them
Don't
as
give them
assholes.
Don't give them the
Released 1.67 terabytes of data made up of more than 1.3 million files, which contain a variety of videos, images about upcoming games, Wolverine, of course, which you know of, and a bit more we'll get into, personal staff information like passport details and stuff, and contracts signed and relationships between both Marvel, Disney, and Sony for future-based projects. There's footage, there's unannounced characters, there's cast lists, there's development budgets. There's data, concept art, absolutely everything you could imagine has been hacked and subsequently leaked as well, right through to the years ahead. So we know that their slate, their costings, and so we wanted to caveat this whole piece of the news with, if you don't want to know about the spoilers, they are out there. I've done due diligence and looked at it all because I'm a nosy bastard.
Links in the description to the next news story.
Yeah. Check out the timestamp, skip ahead if you're not interested. But it's one of those things, we're going to cover it on this because it's a weekly news show about gaming, and this is arguably the biggest story of the week, if not one of the biggest of the year. And now it's in the public domain. It's going to be out there. You're going to see it on social media. People are going to talk about it, and like when they look at the 2024 year ahead for PlayStation, it will factor into conversation because it's a known quantity now. Obviously, it can change. But we thought for you, our audience,
a lot of these plans would change anyway.
Yeah, you mean, yeah, it's all in flux, isn't it? And it's all been verified, though. It's all legitimate. And you know what I want to do? I want to look at it with an air of excitement. We know about movies that are coming up. We know about books that are coming out. We know about TV shows that are in development. I want to take this as an opportunity to celebrate Insomniac and go, you know what? Your next decade of video games looks fucking amazing, and I cannot wait. The most painful thing now is waiting. The wait, knowing what is slated to come. So we'll get into it. We'll break it all down. But as Richie said, if you want to skip ahead, the timestamp's there. But it's going to be sprinkled throughout the news, probably between now and 2031. So strap in for a good chunk of detail about PlayStation 5's future, Marvel, and Insomniac.
But before we get into it, can I lay into the hacker groups?
Oh, of course you can.
First. So, first of all, if you're asking for money in Bitcoin, you're an asshole. Yeah, straight up there. Bitcoin. And as far the best information we have right now, this isn't some sort of political attack because I think Insomniac's doing something money. This is just ransom. So they're taking this information, they've stolen this information, going $2 million or release your stuff. It's purely financially motivated.
Yeah.
I can't adequately describe on this show without us getting demonetized how I view these people. So use your imagination. Go as colourful as you can, because I can go very colourful when I want to.
Very.
There's just bad people, and it's like, yeah, okay, Sony, massive corporation, Insomniac, massive business, and hundreds of millions.
Yeah, 2 million would have been
individual
ocean,
people's private information that is now out there.
Yeah.
In the public domain that shouldn't be. That's just a horrible way to treat people who are doing nothing but put the time, energy, and effort to make some amazing games. Like, come on, like,
well said.
You're making the world a worse place, and we hate you for it.
Yeah, and the
hackers.
There is that reality as well, as if Sony even paid them, there's no guarantee they wouldn't just release it after the fact. So
that's it.
Why it's still negotiable.
So I don't even vibe with the potential for why didn't Insomniac pay that to protect the staff? It's like they could pay the money and go, oh, it's now $5 million over releases.
Yeah. There's no win. There's no win, is it?
There's no win in this situation.
Yeah.
And as far as we can tell, there's not. I mean, investigations are going on internally.
Oh, they'll get
but as far as we know, there's been no kind of data breach or anything. No one's done something stupid or done something they shouldn't have done. As far as we were at this time, this is just a bunch of arseholes who are just being greedy.
Yep, and they will certainly be getting a big dirty lump of coal for Christmas. So
not even that coal's worth a lot of money nowadays.
It is actually, to be fair, yeah. A bag of coal would go down well in today as well.
You have sand,
bills and stuff. Yes,
not even good sand. Not even a good sand that's good for building or something. A shit sand that you can't do anything with.
Yeah, that dirty fine sand.
Yeah, and it's got dog crap in it.
Exactly. Anyway, right, Insomniac leaks. That's our caveat. That's our spoiler hat on. Skip ahead if you don't want to see it. But as I said, it's exciting stuff, and I cannot wait. That's what kept me. As soon as I saw the leaks, I got the better of me, and I was like, you know what, I need to see this stuff because I'm excited for Wolverine. I love Insomniac as a studio. There's a little bit of disappointment in there for one of the IPs that's not here, but we'll get into all that. Let's start, I guess, chronologically with what we know already. So, starting off with Actually, I was going to say chronologically. Yeah, we'll start off with just how it is on a list here. Wolverine. It's the next game slated from Insomniac, 2025. We think,
that we officially know about.
Yeah, that we officially know about. Concept art was one of the leaks that came out. So there's detailed concept art of Wolverine in his yellow outfit, which does look cool. Again, I should also say we're not going to show any of that content on here on the channel.
No.
So if anyone who video watches and usually goes like, oh, they usually play trailers or gameplay footage, we're not going to show you this. It is leaked information. We're going to talk about it, but we ain't going to show it for a multitude of reasons. Gameplay footage was the next big thing that leaked. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch the gameplay footage, Richie.
I haven't. It's all been pulled down.
It has, rightly so. So the gameplay footage for you, basically, there was 2 bits. There was showing Wolverine outside of an apartment, very similar to you would see in New York in Spider-Man, and he traverses by digging his claws into the wall. That's how he kind of climbs around, which is so it's going to add an element of verticality to the gameplay. It's not just like boots on the ground, can only walk in and out of doors and windows and stuff. So I like thought of that. And then he went into the apartment. It was almost like a Batman Arkham Asylum style investigation where he used his nose to sniff around scents for seemingly a flashback where he had a fight with somebody and he couldn't remember it. So I'm guessing there's, with Wolverine's story, there's like an element of amnesia to his history. He doesn't know how he became. He doesn't know how he became Weapon X or something. Remember, like how he got his adamantium and stuff like that. So I feel like the game's going to lean into that somewhat. And he sniffs around. It kind of paints the image of like he was in a fight, stuff got knocked over, and then he follows the scent out the window to the next location. So kind of like most games when you're following like a trail of footsteps or something. It's seemingly like that. But again, it's very, very raw footage. And you can imagine the internet, people like, oh, a game looks like a PS2 game or something. It's literally early concept art that doesn't have textures or renders, or there's literally like concept art that just has like a red scribble over the image that says add rug here, add chest of drawers here.
We had that with the Grand Theft Auto.
We did. Going,
oh my god, looks terrible. Like it's not this the game. You're not meant to see this footage. This is them just testing stuff that someone's leaked. So it's like, yeah,
it's one of them things. But it looks good. The combat looks great. It looks like as you'd expect, just lots of hacking and slashing. And I think this has been confirmed as an R-rated game as well, so we might see some dismemberment or blood. If that again is Wolverine,
I'm sure it has actually.
Yeah, I think it has officially. The other, I guess, next big thing that was leaked as part of Wolverine internally was the location. We saw something called Madripoor, which I believe is like the city inspired by like Shanghai that we have seen, I believe, in the MCU. I think it was in Captain America, Falcon and Winter Soldier 1. I think there was an element where stuff was happening over there. So there's like a vertical slice of that. So it looks like we're going to have 2 locations. So it's not just going to be New York, which was, in my opinion, is probably good because they need to get away from that being tied to like the Spider-Man. We're in the same city again. We're seeing it for the 4th time now, if you include Miles Morales and Spider-Man 1 and 2. So I think that's good that we've got a different potential location. And I would like to see Wolverine in different environments. Again, as you said, he's lived a long time. I'd love to see some flashback sequences to like Civil War era or World War era like we saw, because you can actually do that with Wolverine because he's lived, as you said, for so long. Again, going by traditional Marvel and comic book canon might be different for Insomniacs. Who knows? One of the big things that did come out of it, though, was a cast list, which they've actually been very quiet about the cast list leading up to it. We don't know who was in it or whatnot, but it gives us a little bit of an indication of the story. So, again, is this all news to you, Richie? I don't know how much you've read and how much I've read. We haven't really spoke pre-show about that.
Yeah, I haven't read a huge amount because it's only like a day or 2 ago it was released and just haven't had chance. I've been looking at the cast list today.
Yeah, so the cast list. I'm
the worst person in the world to talk about cast lists. To be honest, I don't know. I know Troy Baker.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only one for me that stands out. So we've got Wolverine, played by Liam McIntyre, Jean Grey, played by Kezia Bayos, Sinister, aka Troy Baker, Sabretooth, played by Brett Gibson, and Mystique, played by Nicole Passent. So the biggest thing for me, not the actors who are going to play them, but the cast list in itself. Part of the test footage, we have 2 dual protagonists. We won't be playing as just Wolverine.
This could be Wolverine. This could be like Spider-Man, Mary Jane thing, though.
It could be.
It could be 90% Wolverine and a bit of Jean Grey.
Yeah, but the big difference is Jean Grey is not just a just a woman, Jean Grey has powers and very, very cool powers. So that means her segments of the game could be very, very fun and exciting. So yeah, we play as Wolverine and potentially Jean Grey. There seems to be some kind of relationship going on in the story, which again, there isn't many of the comic book threads and stuff in the movies. We all know Famke Janssen and Hugh Jackman have a bit of a thing going on.
They do.
In terms of other characters, though,
Cyclops.
Sinister, I'm guessing, is aka Mr. Sinister, is the big vampire-looking dude. He's going to be Wolverine and Sabretooth's adoptive father, and then shit goes wrong. So I didn't know that was a thing in the comics, or it might not be, but that's another thing. And Mystique is in it, who we know can basically appear as anyone. So that I always think is a good antagonist to have, because she could come under the guise of many other X-Men or Marvel-related people. Hell, she could just turn into Spider-Man for like a random laugh cameo.
She's one of them characters as well as so synonymous with X-Men, because she's so important to like the Fox X-Men series and not just X-Men in general. She with her links to things like Magneto and stuff and other like Marvel characters and
yeah. I mean, the First Class stuff with Jennifer Lawrence, Mystique was almost like the front main character. It was centered around her story. That was probably more Jennifer Lawrence, but it led that way. And then we had Dark Phoenix, which just killed the whole thing dead. But less said about that. So that's Wolverine in a nutshell then. So it's obviously ticking along nicely. I'm excited for it. It's definitely a day one purchase. It was always going to be a day one purchase for me. And now I know a little bit more about it. I want to celebrate Insomniac by just saying, like, I'm hyped for it. Everything I've read and seen there, which no doubt we would have probably got within trailers and conversational things as we got closer to launch, but
it's a shame that we're getting information now that they probably didn't want us to have for probably 2 years. Mm-hmm. Which means that we're not getting it in the way they would want us to get it, but it sounds awesome. So
it would have been a big win.
Again, singing Insomniac's praises.
Yeah,
and in recent times, Insomniac, they're crushing it. So
they're PlayStation's most prolific first party in terms of output. Remember, Naughty Dog yet to put out a new game on the PlayStation 5. Insomniac, 3? Miles, a launch title. Spider-Man 2 and Ratchet and Clank. 3 games.
Yeah.
Naughty Dog just doing remasters over there and cancelling their Last of Us Online offering. Speaking of online offerings, though, another thing to come out of these leaks was a lot of these games in the upcoming slate have online offerings tied into it. So part of their roadmap was briefed, which showed images of Insomniac's actual extended roadmap for the years ahead. And they had a multiplayer ambition slide within their slide deck. And it had Spider-Man 2, which launched it this year, 2023. And then for mid-2024, it had Spider-Man 2 Online, followed with Wolverine in 2025, followed in 2026 with Wolverine Online. So we actually spoke on last week's episode, Richie, about a Spider-Verse game, which these leaks now kind of disprove that's not a thing, unless it's been done by another company.
I don't know. Spider-Man 2 Online could be Spider-Verse. It could be one and the same thing.
It could, yeah.
It could be like how Factions spun out into its own game before eventually got killed. Spider-Man 2 Online could have spun out into Spider-Verse and has not yet been killed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because again, we don't know the dates on these, like how dated this information is. This could be from a year or two ago.
That's absolutely
a lot of the stuff.
So what I'd say in terms of keeping it light for time is all of the online components. Probably just go listen to last week's episode when we go in depth about what we would expect out of an online Spider-Man game. Because I think we would probably just repeat ourselves talking about that in this element. And there's so much to get into as well.
A Wolverine Online game I'm not too keen on. An X-Men Online one could be better.
Whoa,
but
spoilers.
You already said X-Men?
No, I didn't.
Didn't you? All right.
I said I'm doing it in a timeline, remember?
I didn't actually spoil anything there. You spoiled it. Because I didn't say there was an X-Men game coming. I said, I'm not keen on a Wolverine Online game. An X-Men will be better.
I said spoil. Again, we're now talking spoilers for a hacked content leak. But yeah, so Wolverine Online. So again, put a pin into that. But then that, I guess, brings us on to the next element, which is part of the roadmap that leaked out, is on from Wolverine. It moves on to 2027 Spider-Man 3, which I guess was expected, right? That's the cadence of if they're going to commit to another one, then yeah, it makes money. It's PlayStation 5's best-selling game in terms of numbers sold, definitely. But then, interestingly enough, moving into 2029, we have Marvel's X-Men. And then it flips forward 2031, with a new IP. So Insomniac branching out. Maybe won't be Marvel. Hopefully something different. And then 2033, X-Men 3. And there's no X-Men 2 on that timeline, which is weird. But my guess is you can only get to 3 by having a 2. And as Richie alluded to, X-Men Online. So my vibe for that would be Spider-Man 2 online, Wolverine Online, and X-Men Online. I feel like X-Men Online could just encompass all of that.
There's a game you've missed. It sits between... sits before... Actually, slated to come out potentially before Wolverine.
Oh, yeah, it's not on this... So there's different roadmaps that I've seen.
Yeah, the dates you're saying are different to the ones I've got, but they're roughly the same ballpark.
Yeah.
But there's a Venom Lethal Protector game coming slated, from what I can tell, in 2025.
Yes, so this is, I think, what we theorized and wanted was a Miles Morales spin-off game. So it seems like
we're getting it.
Spider-Man 2, Venom obviously features heavily, so they've got all the concept art, all the models, all the skins and stuff, and the mechanics done, finished, designed. They're in Spider-Man 2. So in terms of a Miles Morales 8 to 10 hour experience to maybe plug the gap between now and Spider-Man 3, I'd be totally down for that. And seemingly, 2025 we'll get Venom Lethal Protector.
Which feels that could be that's how Miles Morales was kind of the connective tissue between Spider-Man 1 and 2. A Venom Lethal Protector game could be the connective tissue between Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
So you have big game, small game, big game, small game, and I really like that cadence.
Yeah, and reading the title overview from the leaked slide deck is all new storyline, playable, switchable Venom and Spider heroes. So it doesn't look like you will just be a Venom game. It looks like you'll link in infected New York boroughs where you'll go and break down. Golden Path, 12 main missions, 3 event bosses, and then optional content, quests, challenges, base, crimes, and collectibles. So again, just more, but with an 8 to 10 hour standalone experience. I dig it. I like it. Sell it for 50 quid. I'll buy it. Totally sold. Totally like it. That'll be my stopgap between that and Spider-Man 3. And then subsequently the X-Men and Wolverine titles as well. So that also ticks boxes for me. Again, excited for the future of Insomniac. If you're telling me I'm playing these type of games, absolutely down for it. Within that roadmap, there is also another Ratchet and Clank title slated for 2029, which again, I'm glad...
Seems quite way out though.
It does, but then how thinly spread are they? And unfortunately, Ratchet and Clank does fall down the pecking order, probably when it comes to units sold, money made, and just general hype. I think like Ratchet and Clank games are phenomenal, and you wouldn't know half the portals you have in Spider-Man 2 without the portals in Rift Apart. That's
actually my point. It feels like if you're a big Ratchet and Clank fan, this is a long gap between games while they're focusing on what is exclusively Marvel titles.
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing that Insomniac are almost just becoming a Marvel studio.
Yeah. I mean, they're crushing it. So it's not necessarily a problem, but it would be nice for them to spin off.
Yeah, I mean,
another side studio just to focus on Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, I'd rather it was chaperoned by Insomniac, who've got a proven track record now with 3 titles, as opposed to them giving it to someone like Embracer Group and going, you've got studios, give it to whoever and make us a Wolverine game or something, or an X-Men game, and then we get something subpar.
I mean, even Crystal Dynamics didn't manage to do it well.
With Avengers, yeah. True,
yeah,
exactly.
In comparison to the quality we're seeing from Insomniac.
Yeah.
Because I know you like the game, but...
And who knows, like, X-Men could just be Avengers rehash, but you'd like to think Insomniac can take a lot of learnings from Square Enix's Avengers and just go, like, let's not do this XYZ X-Men.
Yeah, this is my worry, because you have another single-player dedicated studio who's never really done much in the multiplayer space, suddenly producing a handful of multiplayer games. And what's the concept there? Because if it's just because we want you to do a multiplayer game, it feels like if you have a very good, solid vision, I absolutely believe they could do it, which seems to be what Naughty Dog had with Last of Us Online.
Yeah. Before
they eventually went, now we'd rather go single player. But if they're just with Marvel's Avengers from Crystal Dynamics, Square Enix, it just felt like they wanted to do a games as a service style multiplayer game with the Avengers license, but didn't really have a good vision of what the game should be.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's so much stuff again that's kind of linked in. I think Ratchet and Clank, there's concept art and there's a script, there's a full script, like a early draft out for it. So if you want to know what their ideas are for that game, even though it's a long ways out, it's there to go read into and break down. But Ratchet and Clank for me, it's just like it's a fun game that we get every, I guess, 7-8 years now. It'll look gorgeous, it'll play fun. And then the final kind of the big piece aside from the X-Men stuff is seemingly Spider-Man 3. What it looks like in terms of the future content. We know we're getting New Game Plus in the new year. That's like officially been confirmed. It's called Spider-Man 3 they've got, but then they've also got the Great Web, which I think might be the Spider-Verse stuff we looked into, Richie.
Yeah, it could be.
We talk about, so it's called Spider-Man the Great Web. They've got it listed down as some of their concept art. When you look at the concept art for the Great Web, looking at just, again, it's like a slide deck that's just been probably shared internally. It's got a spider hero for every player, a welcoming neighborhood, the ultimate New York City sandbox, and a multiverse that matters. And then it's got
that sounds exactly like what we started.
Yeah, it's got loads of imagery from the comic book universes, Spider-Verse, the previous Spider-Man games. And it's like, yeah, this is totally basically what we talked about last week about jumping into it. New York City, just jump in, make your own character, explore and enjoy it. In a multiverse that matters, that's not going to have any impact on the main one. So for me, I don't know if this is just the plan for Spider-Man 3 or if this is like a separate entity to go along with it. And maybe this is the Spider-Man Online stuff that we've been talking about. What are your thoughts?
I think it probably is. If maybe Spider-Man 2 online DLC, it could be one of them things that's just almost like a test bed to try out a few of the ideas of what they're eventually going to spin into its own standalone thing, which will be a Spider-Man, Spider-Verse Online, kind of the Great Web.
The Great Web.
I mean, we should preface that all of these are probably working titles, probably changed the name multiple times.
Especially now.
On the slide deck,
Next slide,
I think
please.
Spider-Man 3 and up to the first X-Men game, it feels like these are at least at the point where they've settled in on the logos. Mm-hmm. Again, they could change. And X-Men 3 just looks like it's X-Men cubed on the slide deck.
Yeah, X-Men cubed.
But again, so I'm guessing Wolverine is X-Men 1, X-Men is X-Men 2, and so X-Men 3 is the third in the X-Men series of games.
Yeah, potentially.
But they're probably, if I had to guess, they have no idea what they're doing with that game. They've just got a license for probably a free game license.
Yeah. It's crazy. Well, actually, speaking of licenses, one of the things I did want to touch on is we got, as I said, negotiation discussions between Disney, Marvel, and Insomniac, and they pretty much, like as you would internally, they broke down what their contract looks like within Insomniac and Marvel. It looks like platforms are listed as PlayStation, console, and PC. So no, it doesn't say PlayStation 5. It just says PlayStation console and
we're
PC.
Talking into the mid-2030s here. So
exactly, PS6.
10 years in time, so there could be a PS6 easily in that time.
Indeed. The commitment compromises of $621 million, which is broken down into $121 million of development commitment for each required title. $30 million for marketing commitments for each required title, $9 million for recoupable advance for each required title, whatever that means.
I'm guessing that's maybe upfront costs to get people involved.
This is for the X-Men specific license, I should clarify. This isn't the Spider-Man stuff that obviously pre-exists. The release is release all games by 2035, sell all games through till at least 2038. And later, if Marvel allow them to continue, again, they're not going to pull it if it's top sellers. Exclusivity. So between now and December 31st, 2035, Marvel cannot release or announce any X-Men games on console, PC, or streaming that use the X-Men character as a competitive advantage in a game. Example, plays Wolverine in Ultimate Alliance, exclusive on Xbox. X-Men characters can appear in multi-family Marvel games. Example, Avengers or Guardians of the Galaxy. And Marvel retains rights to children's games and certain X-Men games from the 1990s. So you're talking like the old, I guess, X-Men fighting games and stuff?
So games that have already been made, Marvel retained the license
remasters
for.
And whatnot.
Games that are aimed at children, so like if they were made, like, I don't know.
It's like Ultimate Alliance on the Switch.
You know how, what's that Superman dog one that came up with?
Super Pets, DC Super
Yes,
Pets.
they could do something like that.
Yeah. Just a
and
Marvel
you
equivalent.
could. And they could feasibly use Wolverine in Ultimate Alliance, but not as an exclusive on Xbox.
Yeah. Or Switch,
but I'm guessing that one where they'd probably just for sake of clarity have a conversation about.
Yeah, completely. And they cannot announce or release something within 45 days before or after one of Sony's X-Men games. So it's like you can't go and announce a Marvel X-Men game 2 weeks after X-Men or something launched, which makes sense.
That seems quite a short time span, to be honest.
It does, yeah. Marvel's royalty is digital games. They get 9 to 18% of net sales. They get 19 to 26% of net sales for physical releases. They get 19 to 26% of net sales for DLC. And in terms of hardware bundles, so sold with the console, they get 35 to 50% of wholesale bundle prices. And then the termination of the contract, it goes into saying they need to either both pay basically release clauses to get out of the contract if they choose to terminate it early. So if Marvel turned around and went, we don't want it to be exclusive to PlayStation, we want to renegotiate, etc., etc.
X-Men 1 was terrible, and we've planned to do at least 3 to 4 games.
Exactly.
So we want out. It's going to cost us $6 million.
$9 million breakup fee.
Oh, $9 million, yeah.
Yeah, $6 million is if they don't sell. So,
6 million units.
So basically, Sony would be penalised if they didn't sell through 6 million units on PS5 or PlayStation.
Combined of one of the 3 major titles.
Which they would. Come on.
Yeah.
It would sell through 6 million easily. What Spider-Man's on, 15 plus?
Yeah, these are just... This is common terms stuff.
It's formalities, to make sure you get it in. But, interesting cuts there. Marvel only taking between 9 to 18%, so... It's a solid take. To be fair,
Insomniac and Sony doing the bulk of the work, so they're taking a decent cut for, yes, he's our IP. And
And again, it's just an interesting insight into the way video games work. We had that with some previous leaks, didn't we, where from the FTC trial when we saw how much Microsoft had to pay for exclusivity, and if they wanted to get certain things, what revenue was shared. And I feel like this year we've learned more about the inner workings of the industry than we ever knew before. In terms of actual costing amount as well. You can put a fine bullet point digit on it.
Yeah, and realistically, these terms are actually probably better than they probably had for Spider-Man. Because of how well Spider-Man sold, now Insomniac a bit of a known quantity, there's a higher expectation for them to do well. The first X-Men games is just going to take my money. You've already said, you already basically said, if you could pre-order it now, you would.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm the same. So, so Disney will be looking at them, the sales of the Spider-Man trilogy, going, yeah, we can make a lot of money out of this.
Yeah. Who else are you going to trust X-Men with? But
yeah,
it's interesting. Some of the lesser stuff we got out of it is we got some updates on some Steam sales from the wider Sony PlayStation ecosystem. Horizon Zero Dawn sold 3.3 million on PC, which is no mean feat to look at, I think, for Horizon. God of War, 2.5 million. Days Gone, 1.7 million. And Marvel Spider-Man Remastered, which came out back in 2022, 1.3 million. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection, just under 500k. Spider-Man Miles Morales, 450k. And Poor Sackboy Big Adventure, 62,000 units sold. Obviously, there is some difference in release dates. So things like Horizon and Days Gone released a year and a half prior to the other launch title, so they've had a bit more run of the market share.
I could see things like Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales even getting a bump after Spider-Man 2 comes out.
Yeah, they're more evergreen, I would say, than the other ones. But shout out to Days Gone, 1.7 million on PC. But again, just shows that Sony's expansion into the world of PC is benefiting them. If you look at that sales number, Richie, just combining Horizon and God of War, it's
an extra million or two.
That's 6 million
sales
units
that you wouldn't have got.
And I'm right in thinking when they launch on Steam, they're full price as well. They're not getting a discount, so you're talking another $60-70 being wrangled in from this. It's a lot of money to no wonder they're doing it. It's a genius business marketing move.
I know there's going to be some people double dipping, especially when they come to play PC later. Because realistically, if you've got a great PC, you're going to get better performance out of the PC than you do with the PS5.
Yeah.
But you're talking potential millions of extra sales that people just wouldn't have bought your game.
Yeah. Just mods. I've seen Homer Simpson fight Ned Flanders in the God of War Boulder and Kratos scene. Genius. And I still say the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection, the reason that's so low is because it didn't include the other entries. It was why would you buy just four?
Also all the
and it's weird.
They're also all the titles, and
I think it would sell better if the 1, 2, 3 collection was on PC as well. Like, why would you want?
I think that's a slow burn.
Yeah,
I think Legacy of Thieves, if they had got them all on and as a collection, I think it'd still be a bit of a slow burn. Yeah. How many PC only fans are clamoring for that game?
Yeah, true.
Compared to some of the more recent games, so.
So yeah, I guess in its scope of all these leaks, the big thing we've got out of it all then is a full roadmap from now through till 2035 of amazing games that I'm super looking forward to. I'll buy them all. So Insomniac, you've got my money regardless of these leaks. Anything stand out for you that we've not maybe touched on yet, Richie, that you want to let the audience know about?
Not really. It'd be interesting to speculate on what the new IP could be. I'd say probably something in the Marvel sphere of influence.
I'd hope not
considering the way they're going.
Sake, but
we're talking games that are coming out. The first one is slated like 2031, and we're already 45 minutes showing other news, so we can speculate on that another time.
That's true. My only disappointment to come out of all this and Insomniac is Resistance. Get another Ratchet and Clank game in the future. They tweet about Resistance a couple of times every year for anniversaries, and they put some artwork out there. Where is my Resistance Trilogy Collection remastered? The only way I can play that right now is on my PlayStation 3, and that is a shame. For 3 amazing games, exclusives to PlayStation, and they just sat there. It's like, so if they're not working on it internally, I'd hope PlayStation Sony is smart enough to be like, there's a demand for these titles. There's no... Remember, first-person shooter on PlayStation. What's just happened? What's just happened to Call of Duty? Gone. And PlayStation is sitting on legacy content for both Killzone and Resistance that they fully own internally, and they're seemingly doing nothing with it. All I can hope is it's maybe being outsourced, because every time Insomniac tweet about Resistance, I'm like, oh, they're teasing something, and now we've seen their roadmap. Seemingly they're not. So it's got to be out there somewhere. Please.
The reason I say, is anyone clamoring for Resistance specifically as an IP is, well, what was the last one came out on PS3?
Yeah, Resistance.
So we skipped an entire console generation. We're comfortably into the next one since. I think, but remaster or remake situation could work. I could work quite well.
Yeah, that's all. I'd be content with just that.
Yeah, and then with that potentially leading into a Resistance 4.
Yeah, and remember the reason they didn't do anything last gen for PS4 is because they pivoted to Spider-Man. So it's like they had their hands full with one of the PlayStation best-selling games of all time. So
and now they've got
fair choice.
So they've had the highest grossing Marvel IP of all time in Spider-Man, and now they've got the second one in X-Men on top of Ratchet and Clank, which is probably prior to this their highest selling game. So I think Resistance is just in the 4th place. It's like we don't have time to do it.
Yeah, we don't have the capacity.
There might just not be the passion in the team anymore to do it. A lot of the people working on them games are probably no longer there. So
yeah, most likely. But then that's where it would be a great thing to, again, take the source code, take the material, outsource it to a second party, and say, like, can you just repackage this the best you can? Look what Demon's Souls. Look what it did for Demon's Souls with Bluepoint.
I know. This is Xbox, but Phil Spencer said with Legacy IP, he's open to giving Legacy IP to developers if there's a passion from the studio to do it. Sony might be in the same situation when they go, we have this IP. If someone comes to us and go, pictures a Resistance game, we'll have a web with Insomniac. It might just be one of them situations and no one's coming forward with it because they're all busy doing their own stuff.
Do you ever play Resistance?
Nope. I didn't have a PS3.
That might be why. Great games. When the Russians closed their borders, we feared they were developing a weapon of unparalleled power. The truth was far worse. Without warning, the Chimera attacked from the east, and in just 2 months, Europe fell. And as the Chimera hunted down the remaining survivors, the last resistance fighters rose up from the ruins of Great Britain. Never underestimate humanity's will to survive. Blah. That's one of the Chimera. So yeah, so it starts out with some cool breakdown of like a map of Europe, and we basically thought the Russians were up to something, and actually they were trying to contain this otherworldly threat of the Chimera.
They were up to something.
No, they were up to something, but not what we thought. And then it breaks out, and the missions take place in like York, and so, like places that are quite close to home for us. And it was really surreal for me, and just shooting Chimera with guns, really really fun for the PlayStation 3 days. But we digress. Does he leaks? Everyone, again, take them all with a pinch of salt. They will change. They will update. Things will be different, no doubt, between now and then. But overall, again, I want to celebrate Insomniac. They've done great work so far. They are truly, truly the workhorse over at PlayStation Studios, and I can't wait to see what the future looks like between Spider-Man, a Venom game. That's so cool. And another Ratchet and Clank, which will be just an absolute swing and a hit score, and then X-Men, and then whatever their online offering looks like. We talked last week, as I said, at length about a Spider-Verse game. I'm down for it. So yeah, give it to me now.
We called the Venom game, though. We did.
We did, yeah. We anticipated.
Well, no, we didn't call it. We said they should do it.
Yeah. I do like the name as well. So for those who don't know, Lethal Protectors, like it's Venom's own joke name that he gives himself. In the last movie, it's not from the movie, I think it's probably the comic books. It's like it's his official like superhero name. Is he likes the thought of being a superhero. So when he's inside,
he's an anti-hero.
When he's inside Eddie Brock's head, he's like, "We need a name. We need a name." And he's like, "We could be Lethal Protector." And it's like, that's a stupid name. He's like, I kind of like it. So it's like it's got that really fun like vibe to it where he wants to be a proper hero. Yeah, I like that tongue-in-cheek joke. So shout out to those games. But we do have a long wait to wait. So go enjoy Spider-Man 2, buy an Insomniac game, go play Ratchet and Clank, do what you want to do. But yeah, shout out to Insomniac, all the devs. Hopefully this doesn't impact your work schedule too much, because obviously they usually take time off over Christmas. I want them to just down tools, go spend time with their family, deserve their rest and their plaudits for an amazing Spider-Man 2. And you know what? Start the new year fresh. The leaks are out there. You can't put the genie back in the bottle now. Embrace it. Hell, come out with a PlayStation showcase in January and just go, yep, this is our slate. Just like I want Xbox to do with their new console.
Don't put your personal details on that.
No, don't go out flashing your passport number and stuff. But you know what I mean. But yeah, Merry Christmas to everyone at Insomniac, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for you all. Moving on, though, to story number 2. One person's future I can't be bothered with worrying myself too much about is Bobby Kotick, the formerly, or soon-to-be formerly, head of Activision Blizzard King, is finally stepping down as Xbox announces a leadership change. Bobby Kotick is set to leave Activision at the end of the month, December 29th, as Xbox makes some big organisational changes as a result. He shared a full statement over on the Activision blog post and stuff, thanking blah blah blah. But I'm not going to give him the airspace. Really,
like he's one of the most hated people in video games right now.
Yeah, and he's going to leave with a massive payout parachute payment from this, like in the millions and millions of dollars. So
I don't want to go into depth about him because we're already almost an hour into the show. But read up on him. He's a horrible person. He's basically everything you hate about Activision Blizzard falls in his door, really.
About corporate leadership.
He's oversaw like the demise of multiple great studios. He's oversaw like awesome IP just getting squandered in favor of more and more Call of Duty support studios, toxic working environments, like you name it, he's done it. Like
yeah. And unfortunately, the reason he's still been around for so long is because he's also turned a massive profit year on year, and Call of Duty has gone on to being bigger and bigger and bigger.
He owned Activision Blizzard, like
yeah, can't really go for that.
At least in part. So.
But essentially, this is more important to I think Xbox and Activision's teams coming in full house into Microsoft and having that restructuring of like leadership changes and culture changes that, let's face it, they've been shouting about for several years now, trying to unionize and stuff like that. So. Hopefully everything's heading in the right direction now, and Phil Spencer's tweeted out a few pieces about like repurposing jobs and people. I think Blizzard president Mike Ybarra is now going to feed into other people. I think Matt Booty is now the official president of Game Content and Studios. So there's a bunch of changes which no doubt we'll hear more about as time goes on. But I think the big news is just that we knew it was coming, but the question was when. And Phil Spencer, I think when he was asked about who makes decisions, I think he was quoted at some Game Fest or something of saying he makes the decisions now. Now the merger's gone through. It was like, he doesn't get to make those decisions. I do now. And
Bobby Kotick answers to Phil.
Yeah, exactly. And so he's gone, Richie. Goodbye, Bobby.
Phil Spencer has said there's going to be no massive shift in terms of the content strategy and like the business strategy for the Activision Blizzard King stuff. I think this is though watch this space. It's like this is more of a don't expect us to like maneuver what is actually just a massive freight container overnight. Yeah. It will change. I think there will be a slow, subtle change with new leadership. But probably for the next 5-10 years, you're still going to be seeing Call of Duty take the priority with Activision.
Oh, of course.
Some stuff in the background.
It's with any acquisition and merger. You can't just pull the plug overnight on projects and stuff. You need to go in and again for the staff's benefit and the business practice.
And then Activision Blizzard is, for all our hatred of Bobby Kotick and everything he largely stood for, was incredibly successful in terms of a business, which means that any massive shift that Xbox wants to do will have to go through the shareholders.
Yeah.
When the shareholders, and we're not talking Xbox shareholders, we're talking Microsoft shareholders at this level, and a lot of them are not interested in gaming and just interested in making as much money as they possibly can. So I was like, why are you changing this? It's making us tons of money. We'll spend billions on it. Leave it alone.
And again, like I said, he'll leave with millions and upon millions and millions in the bank. So you can just go and retire. He could have retired years ago, but that's not the point. Working it back a little bit for story number 3 to the leaks that we just had, part of the Insomniac stuff, we did actually get a reference to some other studios internally at Sony. They referenced Guerrilla, which we know obviously working on Horizon and stuff. We didn't get anything from that. There was one piece of concept art in there, Richie, for Bluepoint. And I referenced them earlier on. They did the Uncharted collection. Then, of course, last year they were acquired by Sony. So now a Sony first-party studio. They did Demon's Souls for the PlayStation 5 launch. And we don't know what they're working on. They said it was some new IP. And then we got one piece of concept art. It's the most we've ever knew about what they're working on. And the concept art seemingly is... It looks over kind of like an Egyptian temple, I'd say. It's not
on a floating island.
Yeah, on a floating, like, Avatar-esque island with waterfalls cascading down the side. There seems to be some kind of, like, wildlife, just a couple of big birds. Now
I want to explore this place.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Like I said, the architecture of the pyramid, it's not a classic pyramid, I would say. It's more of like I don't know what you even describe it as.
It's a split pyramid.
It's a pyramid with a big split in the middle.
It looks like
it's got like sphinxes and columns, and everything's made of like sandstone, kind of looking like Red Canyon. Picture that kind of thing. There's seemingly 2 characters in the front of the shot. One of them has seemingly like fantasy weaponry, like swords and stuff, and a belt. And
the other one's got a spear. It's kind of got a spectral glow.
Yeah, I was going to say the other one seemingly is a ghost. It looks like,
although only his upper half is. Legs look normal.
Might just be the shading on the image, but either way, this is what we've got. Everyone thought Bluepoint were going to be working on some kind of like remaster of something. It is seemingly a full new IP. There's not much you can really garner from this other than
Egyptian-inspired fantasy.
Yeah.
Probably looks like potentially action-adventure game.
With sci-fi elements because of the floating island things and the ghost.
That could be fantasy.
High fantasy. What's the difference between high and low fantasy?
Altitude.
I'll take it. But yeah, it's interesting to see a little bit of insight into what Bluepoint are working on, although that's pretty much all I've got. Do you want to try and give it a name? Let's try and name it right now.
Oh, God, no. The ghost and the flying Egyptian canyon thing.
It just rolls right off the tongue, that, Richie.
Yeah, it does. This is why you don't get me to name stuff.
Temples of Ascent is what I'm going to go with, right? Because there's a temple and everything's floating. So yeah, that's my Indiana Jones title. Indiana Jones and the Temples of Ascent.
Although I don't know, I think that in some ways it sounds good at first, but feels a bit.
Wow, sold me out on that one straight away.
I don't know.
What was yours again? Remind me what yours was.
I don't know. Mine was worse than yours.
The floating islands of thingy. But either way, Bluepoint, hopefully we'll see something next year from them. It's been a while. Demon's Souls was a PS5 launch title, so they've had almost 4 years now.
Yeah, but if they're working on a brand new IP for the first time, really, it's going to take a while. Yeah,
absolutely. But excited to see what they're
Take your time, guys. Take your time.
A couple of more smaller stories after the big, massive leak news. Next story of the week, Sony is looking to bring in auto-adjust difficulty to its games. Now, we think we heard this a while ago when it was patented or patented, and basically they're looking to look into being able to use new technology to adjust the difficulty within games depending on how you're performing. Some people don't like this. I for one, just don't. I mean, it's got to be optional, right? It just basically means the idea is to make a path to progress smoother for everyone, and the opposite way.
I don't like that.
Like you let an algorithm decide it for you.
If it's optional, I don't mind it as a feature. I'm all for as many different sort of accessibility features as you want to chuck into a game, chuck them in. But I'm the sort of guy who turns off auto aim in every single game I play because I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I accept that it needs to be there. For some people prefer it. I don't like it. And what I don't want to do is be trying to get good at playing a game and then the game just gone, oh, you're playing badly, I'm just going to drop the difficulty. That doesn't help me at all. It's not what I want. Let me choose. Just give me the choice. I don't know. It's not a feature that I want in any single game I want to play. It can be in them, but I'm switching it off every single time.
So if it scales both up and down, though, would this not open games like Demon's Souls and Elden Ring up to you, potentially?
Just let me drop the difficulty myself. I don't want the game to decide for me. That's my point. I want to decide
would that not
myself.
make it more fun and dynamic? Like, it ramps up, so you hit a bit of a challenge, and then if you start to struggle, it can drops it a bit more?
I could see the appeal, but then I also have... I'm a 34-year-old man. I can make that decision myself. I don't want dynamic difficulty in there. I just want to be able to pick myself. So I can go at the start of the game, do I want a crushing difficulty challenge like Soulsborne, or do I want baby's first action game? Make my decision in that scale. And if I make the wrong decision, I can adjust it as I play myself. This is removing that choice from me, and that's why I don't like it. I don't like things that remove choice. Give me the choice to turn it on or off if I want it.
Yeah, I think
that's why I'm saying put it in as an accessibility feature.
Yeah, it's an
absolutely 100%. Work on it, put it in your games, but let me turn it off.
Yeah, there's a fair point to be made in the Push Square article that I'm reading from. It says developers spend thousands of man hours tuning their games to provide the optimal experience for abilities and stuff. But if you're just leaving it to like an algorithm, if it's not like watertight, it could end up interfering with like the game's intention and like the golden path that they want you to take, or compromise the way the fighting works or the mechanics of the whole game.
They're working on the technology, and it's not going to make sense for every game.
Yeah, and again,
but for me, it's I can see the appeal behind the technology and it existing. Mm-hmm. But as I just said several times, I want to be able to make the decision myself.
Yeah,
do not force this on people. Put it in there. You can even have it on by default, but just let me go into settings and turn it off.
Yeah, absolutely. Right then, moving on away from that to some other stories of the week. We do have your PlayStation Plus games for the month of December. Not the claimable ones, but we've got the ones that kind of drop mid-month. We've got a couple of titles to list from, so just going through them. The Evergreen, starting off number 1, the Evergreen Grand Theft Auto 5 makes its return. Return to Los Santos. If you're patiently waiting for GTA 6, why not go back and play GTA 5 for the umpteenth time?
If somehow you haven't already own this game, you can get it.
Yep. This is the PlayStation 5 and 4 version, we should stress. So it's got obviously better visuals, faster loading, adaptive triggers, feedback, all the typical bells and whistles that you expect from a PS5 glow up.
I think it's leaving Xbox actually as well.
A Game Pass. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me, just ping-pongs between the two of them. Yeah. Do you think this is just a clever marketing beat? You get the hype of GTA 6, and then they're like, hey, guess what? If you still haven't played or own this, or you just want to jump back in, here it is again.
100%, especially with it leaving Xbox, because unlike PlayStation Plus, where the game drops, you put in your library, as long as you have the right level of subscription, you have access to it. Mm-hmm. Game Pass, once it's off, it's off. You lose access to it. So this is actually Sony, in some ways, playing a bit of a blinder here. There's a lot of hype behind Grand Theft Auto. Xbox are losing it, and now we're taking it.
Yeah. Remember, this is the premium and extra catalog game, so this could also leave, and you can't keep playing it, I don't think. You'll still need a PS Plus subscription.
I think you need a PS Plus subscription, and I'd assume that you need the extra subscription to have access to it. But once it's in your catalog, it's in your library. It's in your library as long as you have the right tier of subscription. That doesn't ever go away.
Does it not? I thought that's
no, because it's the same. It's the same as any of the other games. When you
but the other ones are claimable. Like you claim 2 or 3 titles.
These are claimable.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm sure it just lets you download. I don't think it says added to your library.
I'm sure it's added to your library.
Otherwise, why would they need to rotate them out if people could just keep them? We'll let the comments maybe answer that one for us. But yeah, my impression was the claimable games, you claim them, and as long as you've got a subscription, you can play them forever and download them forever. But with the monthly catalogue of games, it needs to be in the catalogue. What am I looking at?
Focusing.
Add to library. All right. Fair enough.
There you go.
Go claim GTA 5 if you somehow don't already own it.
I just have.
Next up, we've got Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin for PS4 and PS5. From Team Ninja comes a brand new take on the Final Fantasy series. Jack and his allies, Ash and Jed, burn with the resolve to defeat Chaos as they throw open the gates to the Chaos Shrine. Yet doubt remains, and they truly are the Warriors of Light, the prophecy foretold. Step into a world of dark fantasy and revel in exhilarating action-packed battles, wildly different movesets and equipment, change combos, unlock attacks and upgrades, etc. Richie, you're our Final Fantasy aficionado. Is this one of them Final Fantasy spin-off things that it's just more Final Fantasy but not Final Fantasy at the same time?
This is a Final Fantasy that went very before 16, straight up action, but seemed like it was written by a teenager in the mid-2000s who's too much into emo music.
That's a very particular description.
Screaming about it's very edgelordy. We've got to kill chaos. That kind of full on, like, yeah. It's a bit slapstick in its kind of presentation, but I think it's done well. It's like IGN's give it an 8 out of 10.
That's a solid title, man. It's not too old either.
Solid,
right?
Yeah. Metascore's a bit lower, around about the mid 7s, but yeah, it's fine.
It's in there.
It's not a bad it's not a bad library edition to just pad out your library a bit.
Yeah. MotoGP 23 for PS4 and PS5 also there for those who are looking for the two-wheeled racing dynamic tracks. Another good one for this month, Metal Hellsinger also dropped, which Richie, you described pre-show.
As Hi-Fi Rush, if it was Doom.
Meets Doom, exactly. This is also the PS4 and PS5 version. Reading from the description of the blog, part human, part demon, and obsessed with vengeance. Become the unknown and fight through the fiercest domains of hell in this unique heavy metal rhythm action shooter. Your ability to shoot on the beat will enhance your gameplay experience. The more in sync you are with the rhythm, the more intense the music will become, and the more destruction you will cause. Destroy the demon hordes and their leader to set yourself up for an epic showdown with the Red Judge himself, herself.
Literally take Doom and turn it into a rhythm game, basically.
It sounds like it, yeah. It looks like Doom.
And seemingly awesome.
And reviewed very, very well. So that's another good win for this one. Salt and Sacrifice, PS4 and PS5 is another title that's dropped on there. Moon Scars, PS4, PS5. Mega Man 11 for PS4. Giga Bash, PS4 and PS5. Grime, with the extended DLC. Grime, shout out to Grime, it's a good little 2D side-scroller. Action-adventure RPG. With the little ball of light for his head. That's a good one. Tinykin for PS4, PS5. Proteus for PS4, PS5. Shadowrun returns, PS4, PS5. More Shadowrun stuff. And then we get added to the PlayStation Premium Classics, the Mega Man Legacy Collection. We get the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2. We get Thrillville Off the Rails, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command for PS4 and PS5 as well, and added. And if I'm not mistaken, I was listening to a podcast was talking about this one. One of these games that's been added to the Premium Classics collection is a PS2 title. And this is the first PS2 title we've had since, when on the PS4 they went through that phase of porting PS2 games, and we got about 10 of them, 15, including Bully, Grand Theft Auto, War of the Monsters, was it? Red Faction 1 and 2 we got, but then they stopped doing them, and everyone was like, well, why the hell are they not porting them over again? It's not Buzz Lightyear, that was originally on the PS1, so it must be one of the Mega Man games, potentially, the collections, that was a PS2 title. But yeah, on the
Collection 2.
Yeah, on the PlayStation, I was listening to the Sacred Symbols podcast, and they were basically saying that this is the first PS2 game to make it into these classic collections, which could indicate Sony PlayStation have finally cracked the algorithm. Because we know we've had PS1 games, we've had them come with trophy support, with siphon filters.
It's PS3, isn't it? Not PS2 that you think about.
No, we've not had any PS2 games come with the classics collection. It's all been PS1 since its inception. So this is the first of hopefully many, and it's signalling that PlayStation are maybe running out of PS1 games to move over. We always joke that they keep filling them out with Disney games. Like, how many Buzz Lightyear games have we had now? And here we are, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, based on the TV animated series one. Great show, fun game. But if we're starting to get PS2 games, that opens up a whole new library of things that could become the classics.
Oh, yeah.
So, interesting one to keep an eye on. Chat, if you do know which one it is, let me know. I do suspect it's one of the Mega Man Legacy Collection ones, but I can't remember.
If I had to take a guess, it will be Legacy Collection 2. But with it being Legacy Collection, I would have thought that would be... I don't know, I think a lot of the Mega Man games... Yeah, actually, some of the Mega Man games in the Legacy Collection 2, because we're talking 7 through 10, probably are PS2 era.
Let's have a look. Mega Man Legacy Collection, Anniversary... PS2. Looking at that. 10 classic Mega Man titles. PS2, factory sealed, sets you back £18.20 if you're looking to buy it in today's market, which I guess, Richie, means that PlayStation Plus do good value for money right now, based on just that one title. As
a mid-month drop, I think this is pretty solid. I actually think the mid-month drops are usually better than the start of the month drops, like quite significantly recently, actually. I always remember thinking at the start of every month, it's a bit lackluster. Then the mid-month drops and go, oh, there's some solid stuff coming on here.
Especially after you played Lego Fortnite, you said you actually gave plaudits to the cloud performance of PS5 as well.
Yeah, I did.
Interesting.
It was buttery smooth. It looked fantastic. And I've had problems with playing cloud in this room for a little while, actually. Because I did actually, before trying to play on my PS5, I tried to play that on Luna. Because I was originally trying to download on PS5. But it was taking forever. And the cloud performance was fine.
There you go.
I have since just downloaded it.
Of course, just in case. Yeah. And also, just to clarify, the Mega Man Anniversary Collection is also a PS2 game. So both Collection 1 and 2.
That makes kind of sense, yeah.
Interesting. So good. Go fill your boots with some with like 20 Mega Man titles if you want to. Right, moving on with our stars of the week as we round down the rest of the show. Just some smaller ones. Skull and Bones. It's a title we've spoke about on and off for many years now. And Richie, we were fortunate enough this past week, thanks to the Ubisoft Creators Program, we actually got to play Skull and Bones as part of the Early Access Beta 2. To clarify, I should also clarify Ubisoft did provide us with the code for Skull and Bones, so shout out to Ubisoft for supplying us with that. We played probably about an hour and a half. We were only allowed to publish 60 minutes of footage, so that's why the video's about 58 minutes up on the channel. We jumped in, we did some... it was interesting actually, because after we played Fortnite the night before, it was almost very reminiscent of that. We were looking for scavenging paths, but we were at sea instead of in a Lego Fortnite world. And it's been a long time coming. We know they're trying to take the best bits from Assassin's Creed Black Flag. It's been, 8 years in development? Maybe 9 now? I can't really remember. It's been delayed several times. Remember, this game should have came out when God of War Ragnarok came out. We've now got Valhalla DLC on top of that since then. Richie, give us a quick insight into some of your first impressions of your first hour and a bit spent with Skull and Bones Beta.
If you want to play an Assassin's Creed game, there's plenty of better Assassin's Creed games than this. And if you want to play a survival game, there's better survival games than this. I thought it was a bit it was too by the numbers for a £70 game. Mm-hmm. So that's a premium title. I'd rather play Valheim or something like that. Or Lego Fortnite, which is completely free.
What about the visuals?
Distinctly fine.
Distinctly fine.
Nothing wrong with them, but they're not. I wasn't impressed. It's when you. I think, to be honest, we've been spoiled because as PlayStation gamers and our fondness for PlayStation first party, we do get spoiled. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this was absolutely fine. It wouldn't bother me. The visuals wouldn't bother me in the slightest, but they're not kind of wowing me either.
Yeah,
it's not a bad place to be.
Yeah, it's a mixed one. Reading from some of
the
stuff...
There's nothing to talk really about the visuals, really.
Some of the stuff online from the beta that's came out of it is a lot of the feedback from people across like IGN and other channels.
It looks better than Valheim, I'll give it that.
Yeah. Reading from PureXbox.com, after another 6 hours in the most recent closed beta this past weekend, I found myself more hopeful than ever that this plundering simulator might actually capture the attention of me and my friends. Another comment says, though the most recent beta includes some odd and unexpected changes to the story, my friends and I dove deep into the waters of the ship-based action RPG mechanics and came away pleasantly surprised. On the flip side...
I don't care about the story.
Yeah, I didn't think there was much of a story.
In a survival game, The story should be, for me, it should be very, very surface level. Maybe you could have some deep lore in there, but for me, survival game, it is all about the gameplay.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to keep getting you come back. You want to go upgrade your ship, upgrade your character, build a cool settlement, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's the water cooler moments when you're talking with your friends. Oh, I built this. You have to drop me my wealth on tonight, and I'll show you what I've been working on. It's that sort of stuff that you want from us.
Yeah. And the big question amongst a lot of Skull and Bones fans right now seems to be if it can live up to that $69.99 full price point or $70.
Nope. I do not think it will.
Reading from some comments on Reddit, someone said, I have a lot of fun in the beta, but I can't really justify the price tag. I could have been maybe convinced with a £40 price starting point, $39.99, but where it stands, I'll wait for a sale, quote unquote. I like that.
SAIL. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. This guy's cool.
Another one says, I enjoyed it a lot. Did I enjoy it so much to spend $70 on it? No, but if the price drops, I'd definitely buy the game.
I think that's the point.
This is where I wouldn't spend anywhere near 70 on this at all.
There's a reasonable game in there, but I think you can have a comparative experience for free. Actually, like if you're looking to play a survival game, there is survival games out there that are free or
Fortnite?
sub £30. Yeah, Lego Fortnite. I don't think will have the depth of this, to be honest. But something like Valheim, I don't know how much it is, but because I played it on Game Pass, but it's not going to be £70. Ark, yeah. There's lots of stuff you can play.
It's that kind of like the allure of pirates. Maybe we're just like in a little stuck in a bottle, funnily enough, and we're not aware of like the impact that the brand of pirates, I guess, could have on the wider world. I do think though, Ubisoft being Ubisoft, like I was reluctant to spend 70 on Avatar, and then it got a price slash after 2 weeks. I think Skull and Bones is going to not get the numbers when it launches, but then it'll drop drastically by the end of spring. It'll be bargain bin.
I think what they're trying to do is they're overvaluing the games to push people into Ubisoft Plus, because Ubisoft are the epitome of a game developer for me and publisher that are terrified of you not playing their games. They do not want you to put down their games ever. You just look at Assassin's Creed Valhalla. How long did they keep that going?
2 years.
Probably when they should have moved on. They were. It feels like for like years, 2-3 years, it was constantly in the news. It's just seeing absolutely terrified of you once you buy one of them games, not playing it.
Yeah,
and I think that's why they want to push into Ubisoft Plus, so then you never have to leave. You can just play only Ubisoft titles. Rather than what I think they should be doing is making games to the standard that I want to pay £70 for.
Yeah. It's an interesting it's kind of similar to the Game Pass scenario where Ubisoft find themselves in this thing where they're putting out 7s and 8s in terms of video games, but people, everyone is so squeezed right now for money. They can't justify spending 70 odd pound on this type of game. But as part of a subscription, it makes it more feasible. I'd
say Valheim. I keep going to Valheim because we've played it on the channel, so it's one of the few survival games I know a bit about. Valheim's getting overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, and it's under a tenner right now.
Yeah, but this is what I said, but it's not pirates.
So it's like, it's not pirates, but if you're looking, it's got boats and you got longships.
Yeah.
So unless you absolutely must play pirates, if you're just looking for a survival game, I think you can get a game as good as, if not better, for a seventh of the price.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is a problem with this game. Like, it's good. I think there is a good, fun game in there. It's a bit slow, but I'm sure as you upgrade your ship, will get faster if you got more into it and understand the resources a bit more. It's survival games. This is what they're like. Once you understand the mechanics a bit better, you can be a lot faster.
Yeah.
But again, it's hard. I can't recommend anyone goes and pays £70 for this game.
Yeah, same. Or Sea of Thieves, just Game Pass it and go to that, or Ubisoft. But I guess if you wait till...
If you're interested, Ubisoft Plus, that is what I would recommend.
Till January and get Ubisoft Plus, you could check out this, you could check out Avatar, you could check out Prince of Persia for as little as, £10 a month or whatever it is, $10.99, I can't recall.
And Assassin's Creed Mirage as well, you got that, plus... all the other games and services stuff, like Riders Republic and stuff. That would be my recommendation. When this drops, if you're interested, get Ubisoft Plus for a month, and if you're in, maybe think about paying the money.
Go check it out. Speaking of Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. We're not too far out. It launches on January 18th, so literally a couple of weeks from now. Some early previews have gone up, and just some quick feedback as we head out of the Ubisoft block. IGN said Ubisoft's first properly new Prince of Persia game since 2008's reboot is its own game, a Metroidvania, and it's such a great fit that I'm scratching my head wondering how this franchise and genre never got together before. Reading from Windows Central, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown has excellent and fluid combat, precise platforming, an interesting and varied world, and more secrets than you can count. And wrapping up with Tech Radar says, combat mechanics are responsive, traversal is a joy, and the plot, while undoubtedly present, paints its mythology with broad, accessible brushstrokes that don't leave you caught up in unnecessary detail. So, retailing at $44.99. Again, a bit of a steep price point, I think.
That's
Ubisoft.
what I'm feeling. Again, I'm feeling there should be
Plus.
sub 40.
Yeah, I'd have guessed $24.99 would be the sweet spot for that. But then again, that's just us with games. But Ubisoft Plus, go check it out.
There is a free demo for Xbox though.
Is there? Is that available
on January the 11th? Is a free Xbox demo.
Like the week
so
before,
that again, this could be if you're interested in this game and want to get your hands on first. More games should do demos. I keep wanting Baldur's Gate 3 to release a demo on PC, not because whether I want to see if there's a style of game I'm interested in, but on PC specifically, how will my PC run it? Because that's where I'm stuck. I don't know where I want to buy that game. Ideally on PC, but I'm not sure if my PC will run it. So it's
interesting. But I'm sure Ubisoft is hoping to kickstart January and next year and have a big year, hopefully, if they do
Prince
hit.
of Persia seems like good.
It does, yeah. It's not really my type. I'd rather have a third-person Prince of Persia again. But while we wait on Sands of Time remake,
this is the game when it drops to PlayStation Plus next year. I think you'll go, I remember that. Had good reviews. I'm going to jump in.
It does have that vibe to it, but looks really, really cool. So, Ubisoft Plus, though, seemingly more and more tantalising by the month. But that kind of does bring us to our last story of the week, which is an unfortunate one. This past week, Max Payne and Alan Wake 2 voice actor James McCaffrey has sadly passed away at the age of 65 after a short battle with cancer. Best known, as I said, for his voice work as Max Payne, and more recently is Alex Casey in Wake 2, which I've just played of. He's also Zachariah Trent in the Control game I spoke of right at the beginning of the show. You'd recognise his voice, I guess, if you played those titles. But yeah, unfortunately, he passed away. And rest in peace, Mr. McCaffrey. Richie,
rest in peace.
We always round out our shows every week by looking at this day in video games. And as we said, we're recording quite early, but this December 21st, any particular games jump out in the years gone by for yourself?
Yes. Baldur's Gate, the original.
I remember you playing this in your bedroom back at your parents'
No,
house.
you don't. No, you don't. You remember me playing Baldur's Gate 2, because I didn't play the original Baldur's Gate till the Enhanced Edition came out.
Right.
Thank
you for correcting me.
I've got hundreds of hours in that game.
25 years ago, 1998,
and you can carry your character from Baldur's Gate 1 all the way into 2.
That's impressive. Can you carry
Unfortunately, you can't do it into 3, but no. That'd be way too difficult nowadays. They're completely different engines and stuff.
There's nothing really for me. As I said, this time of year, you tend not to get many. Buster Move came out in the arcades 29 years ago. Buster Move.
Street Fighter Alpha on the BlackBerry.
Wow.
14 years ago.
BlackBerry. Unlocking
and PlayStation, but
unlocking memories all over there. Phantasy Star Online. I know it was a big one back in the day. That was released on the Dreamcast in the year 2000.
There's a couple of East games that I've never played, so I can't really comment.
Yeah, but quite quiet. Do you think anything released on Christmas Day? Or do you think
I don't know. I'm going to have a quick look.
Yeah, I'm skipping ahead just to see if anything did genuinely release on Christmas.
I mean, I'm sure something has released. Is anything of note? Penguin Wars on the NES.
Chameleon Twist 2. Tomba launched in the original PlayStation. That's a good one. It's a good shout for Christmas.
Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner. That's the Persona as a spin-off of the Shin Megami Tensei series.
Gears of War Judgment on the Xbox 360. Interesting. So apparently games do release on Christmas Day. I don't know how it impacts the sales.
Pokemon Bank. Pokemon Bank. I love Pokemon Bank.
Yeah, it's such a fun game, Pokemon Bank. Either way, Richie, that does bring us to an end of our last episode of the year 2023. Thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in and supported us throughout this year. It's been, again, a very interesting year for us as a channel. Obviously, we've had to pivot away from I guess it was Stadia back in January, right? That was the first thing that kicked it all off. It closed down in January, and then we launched some new shows to do with multiple platforms, and then jobs and having a child made us condense our news into one show, and that's where we kind of relaunched as the GamerGuildTV channel. And very content with this year, I think, so far. I think our supporters have been amazing. They've stuck with us after the loss of Stadia, I think, which was always our biggest worry. And I think
it feels longer than a year.
It does feel longer than a year, which is crazy. Shout out to the Stadia controller, by the way. I don't know if you saw this, but they extended the Bluetooth software tweak you can do for it till 2020, end of 2024. So if you're out there and you've got your Stadia controls and you're yet to port them over to Bluetooth compatibility mode, you've got 1 year left to do so. So go do that. I'm sure they're all just sat there as paperweights, still not doing anything. Anything you'd like to say other than Merry Christmas to our wonderful viewers and listeners out there?
Well, Merry Christmas, and we will be dropping an episode next week, but because we're actually literally about to record that, it will be our Game of the Year edition. But we're going to do a bit of a 2023 review as well, because it's been an amazing year in gaming, and just gives us a chance to kind of go through our highs and lows of the year. And to be honest, it's mainly going to be highs.
Yeah, it's
looking at the list of stuff. Obviously, the death of Stadia is a low, but January sucks.
Stadia had to die, so 2023 could be the best year in video game history.
Yeah, and maybe if there's time, depending on how the episodes go, we might look into 2024, see what our expectations are. Or we might save that for the first week.
Maybe save it just because of how quiet January usually is. But
yes,
thank you.
And live streams, they're not going to be scheduled regularly until we get back in January. They may still happen on a whim, but
yeah. Keep it locked.
So basically, Gamer Guild is breaking up tonight, Thursday the 21st. Podcast will go live every week, still as intended, and we'll turn up as and when we turn up. We'll be in the Discord hanging out and stuff and playing games and just catching up on some sleep. Yeah. Or maybe even online, we don't know.
Speak for yourself.
We're not committing to any content, live or otherwise, but it may still happen.
Yeah, plenty of merriment to be had. So the last thing to say is just Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Hope you have a fantastic few days, weeks, whatever, with your friends and family and loved ones. And we shall see you in 2024 for our 7th year of content. 6th year? I can't remember.
Our 10th year of content.
10th year, celebrating a decade of GamerGuildTV. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. My name's been Chris.
And I've been Richie.
And remember, play whatever makes you the happiest this Christmas. See you in the new year. Goodbye.
Merry Christmas.